What's up, Rubits? Little Big Robots back with another video. Today I'm going to be looking at another MyBuild Mecha Frame kit for MyBuild May, which is what I'm doing right now. It is May, and this is my month-long look at MyBuild and doing some custom MyBuilds and stuff like that. This is the Titan, number 6012. Let me scoot this baggage a little bit here. So there you go. Why are we not focusing, Mr. Frame? Anyway, this is the Titan. It is a great big kit. It's actually not really taller than other kits. It's just kind of bulkier. I'll compare that in a minute. Before I do, make sure you subscribe and everything, because I do two videos a week about mecha, robots, stuff like that, occasional art toys and stuff. And this entire month I'm looking at Mecha Frame. If you're not familiar, Mecha Frame is a brick company from Taiwan. They create these different mechs, and the mechs are based around, let me see if I can get a better shot here. There we go. Put it a little more straight on for you. The MyBuild are based around the Mecha Frame, which is essentially this black kind of inner frame you might be seeing underneath some of the armor pieces here. This, you know, the black interior part. Anytime you hear the word inner frame, you're basically referring to that, the robot underneath the armor. So the idea is you have a frame made of metal or whatever, and then you put armor on top of it. Kind of like how a tank is really a tank, but then what gives us its shape is the armor tacked on top. This gives you kind of an idea of the size difference here. This is the Titan. This is the one I'm currently, for the month, I'm going to be doing a custom version of, and I'm using the Stryker. I bought a new Stryker kit here, or a separate one from this. This is the one that came with the military drop and all that. All the reviews will be in the description, by the way. But that gives you an idea. It's really not taller at all. It's the same height. In fact, I think they all use the same Mecha Frame. There's basically 3 different ones, and I bought them all. Let me show you real quick, because you can buy if you ever want to just try these out, you can buy just the frame itself and then build your own brick mecha around it. So here is the one that's kind of like, you know, almost like a, you know, simian, you know, like a gorilla kind of looking. It's got longer arms and shorter feet. I'm not sure which kit uses that. I don't think it's a Titan, that's for sure. You have this cool one that's like a scorpion. I've yet to mess with this. I've just started building it. And then your standard inner frame, Mecha Frame, where it fits a standard minifig and then goes from there. I've been experimenting with different figs. As you can see on this Titan, I've got a Mega Constructs minifig going on, and she looks fantastic. What I found in my last video that I wanted to do is maybe just use the upper half when they're inside the mecha, and then attach them to the lower half when they're outside. Let me take her off of there real quick, and then we'll look at the Titan. Let me move the Stryker back a little bit here. I'm going to move these out of the frame so they don't mess with the focus and stuff too much. So it's a great big beastie a mech. I'm not the biggest fan of giant missiles and guns and stuff like that. What it really interests me about mecha is them used as almost like farm equipment, you know, like standard issue kind of mecha. That stuff is kind of interesting to me, kind of like the loader that Ripley drove in Aliens. It wasn't a weapon per se, but she used it as one later in the movie, of course, famously, you know, her famous line from it. So a lot of this stuff, though, you can use as weapons, and they do look cool, don't get me wrong, because wrist gun, the gun here, the missiles there, there's a gun on the back, and but you can also, you know, these are brick kits. So what's amazing about those is you can pull them off pretty easy and attach almost anything there. Or you could take this and you could turn it into anything you want. The bricks are all high quality. They're not Lego bricks. This is a brick company, meaning that it manufactures its own. So these aren't labeled at all like where you'd see Lego on the little studs. You're not going to see that on here, which is really cool because it helps tell them apart whenever you're borrowing parts, maybe. You can see the inner frame there. The inner frame is nice, but one of the big issues you will run into, I should say, is that the ability to hold a position is good. As you can see, it's holding up this heavy hammer here, but over time and through posing and stuff like that, that will eventually kind of get loose as the plastic gets worn down a little bit. It separates a little bit. You know, I'm sure, I bet you anything that humidity and stuff affects it just like it does wood. Probably not nearly as much, but it does work pretty darn well. And you've got almost all the different kind of movement options in these kits as you would in a standard, let's say, an action figure, other than the waist. The waist is fixed at the middle there. Right now in my custom one, I'm looking at a way to maybe make the waist have a crunch or at least some turning in it. I might even cut, let me show you here on the inner frame here, the Mecha frame. I might even cut or do something where make it put these leg connectors down here, and in between the leg connectors in the crotch area, put a rotating part. I'd want it to be a pretty tight rotating part, so I'm looking into that. But that would be cool to have a little bit of a rotation on that, and maybe that's something that MyBuild, I'm sorry, will work on and maybe add with their next kind of version, maybe a more deluxe version. So this guy does look nice and beefy and big. He's got this giant hammer. The hammer, he's not really holding it. What's happening here is it's stuck together with basically a piece that goes through here like a bar. You know, we've all seen those kind of bars. So it's not really holding. This is actually a good solution because it's going to hold it really tight. I would bet that it could probably hold it in these hands. But one of my only real kind of, I don't want to say a gripe, but one of my gripes or, you know, nitpicks with MyBuild is that their hands are not as good as I think they can be. So I'm working on custom hands right now. I'm even borrowing some parts from some Mega Constructs kits and seeing how I can improve those hands. They don't need to be crazy good, but I do like the fingers. I do like how they reuse those parts for the fingers. The thumb leaves something to be desired. You can just see the studs too much. So what I'll probably end up doing is replacing the thumb. But I'm not doing a custom Titan for now. What I'm going to do is do a custom Stryker, but still it'll give you an idea. The feet are fantastic. Of course, they look really cool. This has a really nice silhouette, you know, when you're looking at it. But the feet have the issue that the Iron-Blooded Orphans kits did in Gunpla, if you know what I'm talking about. They're model kits. Whereas you have the foot and then you have the toes on a separate thing like that. While that sounds like a good kind of design choice, what ends up happening, let me put this back together, and this is another issue I'm going to mess with a custom Stryker, is I'm going to actually glue parts together, parts that tend to fall apart like the feet like that, make it a lot more solid. But when you have a foot, you're essentially putting all the weight here. So if you lean forward, what tends to happen is it's going to do that and separate, and then you're leaning back on this back area. So they end up walking around like that. They do have these cool little kind of extra, you know, grippers back here, but let me just lay this down. So what I'm hoping to do on this is improve the foot by either attaching that permanently and making just the toes bend a little bit, or putting a different kind of a grippier part in there, maybe even just trying to tighten up the joint. You can see the studs here, and not studs, but these kind of obvious brick parts there. I want to try to cover those. What I'm going to end up doing is either putting a flat part over that, or actually carving off the studs and flattening them out, making it look like a piece of armor. But it's a nice design for a foot. But again, the idea with MyBuild is that you're kind of building bots around the frame. Their frame is really their main thing, if you ask me. I wouldn't be surprised if they sell a lot of just the frames, because I've seen people talk about buying just the frames and then building their own custom brick kit around the frame. And we've got the basic gun here, which is kind of cool. It's got this little extra grip handle in it, so it looks like almost like a Gatling type style gun, but it is a little bit more tame looking, I guess you'd say. I like how they reuse these parts. These parts are such great little parts for everything, but they make such great little barrels. They already have the split. They have like the what's it called, where the flames come out, the pressure, what are those called? I can't remember. They put in tank cannons and stuff, and it lets the gases out or whatever, so it can fire. So it's a great bulky kit. I like how it opens up here on the front. These parts are fantastic, these latchy parts. In fact, I don't think these have it. It would be cool to see the front toes have these. See how I can't remember the term for that, but it's like a latch that locks toys into place. So if you put those on the toes, it would stay much sturdier. I think it's easier to open the head first. So the head is really pretty basic, but a neat design. These come open, and then this comes down, and then your minifigure would go in there. Now it's pretty it's pretty substantial in there. And in fact, I really like that seating area compared to the Stryker. The Stryker is going to be, whoop, you see how the front toes kind of don't support it? So that needs to be tightened up. The Stryker just has your standard thing like that and not enough room. But if you compare the two, you can see you could actually fit, where I was having problems on the Stryker, I bet I could just fit a standard Mega Constructs figure like her. Let's even have her sitting down in just a normal position to see if you can do something with that. And if that's the case, I might have to buy another Titan and make a custom Titan instead. So you see she normally is going to sit in there and be squished. But with that being that large, let's see if I can get her. Put her arms up for now. Just see if we can get her to sit a little bit. Let's get her nice and proper. Put her legs in there. Oh my gosh, every time I touch it, it makes her legs. Okay. So maybe like that. Something like that. Let's just put our arms down, actually. So I'm kind of enjoying this one. If it's a little bit more room in there, I might need to readjust the cockpit too. Okay, put that in there. So she's kind of sitting in there. Let's see if that'll close. Ooh, look at that. You can't close the head, but you could see that you could re-engineer that, but that looks really cool, actually. See, so it's the same inner frame. It's the same size inner frame, isn't it? No, is that one a little longer? I can't tell. I don't think so. I think they use all the same inner frame. But anyway, you could see the difference in how it would fit. That's fantastic. That looks really, really cool. So that's an option as well. You could just put a head on there that has essentially a hole there or something to be able to close it. But that's something I'm going to have to mess with. But I like how that closes. It's really tight, so you do, when you're closing this, I found that it's easier to kind of put them together and make sure that these two parts are squeezed out just a little bit to give that room. So it has a nice chunk on there. These kind of parts, the back end, the back side of a brick like that, I don't like seeing. So that's something that I'd want to work on, maybe even putting some filler in or something, make it look like, you know, more solid. But it has a lot of really cool parts and bits that you can attach all sorts of stuff. This part is really, really nice. Could you imagine if this had some pipes running on it, stuff like that? But even, I don't mean to, I'm not talking down to the MyBuild standard designs. I love their standard designs, don't get me wrong, but what I think would be fun is to try to take one and improve it a bit. The more I mess with the Titan, the more I like it, though, so it might be fun to take certain parts like these feet and re-engineer them using only MyBuild parts. But I do have this, which I thought was great. I found the rest of my leftover MyBuild parts. I couldn't find them anywhere. And you've got tons and tons left over. Now this is in the middle of building another Stryker, so that's not all these parts. But you got like this sword here, for example, with all these great parts. This goes to this little blue guy here, which I'm not a giant sword type guy, so I might take that apart and use these to improve maybe the feet. That would be a really cool option, is to see what I can use from MyBuild to make it a little bit, I don't want to say better because the design is fantastic. I want to say just more solid. So he's really cool. The hammer's great. This little side gun here on his hands is really cool. The hands themselves are fine, but I would like them to be just a cleaner design. The fingers aren't bad, and you can adjust the thumb this way. Can you do it that way? I thought you could. I thought you could rotate. You can't. But you know, you've got some movement there. What I'm wondering is if you could. Oh, did I put it on the wrong thing? I put it on the wrong thing. Look at that. Did I have it on the wrong thing? Either way, I wonder if you can. Does this attach? No, it doesn't. Okay. So you can see it's a nice design, but this is just, the thumb is too long. You could even, if you had to, you could even cut that off. You know, and maybe you know, even shape it a little bit. Fill that in with some filler and paint it, and you'd have a much cooler looking hand. The idea being that I want this to look a little bit more like a model kit and less like a brick kit. I have nothing wrong with it looking like a brick kit, don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna see what it looks like to have at least you know, one kind of kit that looks more realistic or more like a model kit with weathering and stuff like that. But he's really bulky. He can do all the standard moves that you would expect him to make. These feet coming off pretty easy, though, are kind of annoying. Usually their brick fittings are really tight. Let's see if I can get that back on there. Okay. So you can do pretty good poses, but nothing crazy. oh my God, that's driving me crazy. Because of his bulk. But again, the idea with this guy is that he's not really supposed to be, you know, super agile or whatever. He's just stomping onto the field and he's going to destroy everybody. So, and he's fitted to the gills with guns. So it looks really cool. I like the color a lot. The color separations are good, but I wouldn't mind seeing them a bit more color separated. Some of it blends in a little bit too much, the yellows and stuff, so I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of variation there. But again, all that can be swapped out with other MyBuild parts. I'm going to have a link in the description that has all of my MyBuild reviews, but also a link to an Amazon store where you can buy all the MyBuild kits. I get a little kickback from that. Buy from there if you'd like. That would help me out. If not, feel free to, they sell on Amazon. I'll link to their storefront directly as well. So it's a really cool kit. It's going to be fun seeing how this fits on the shelf there, because I'm starting to get a little tight on my shelf for MyBuild. But now that I'm messing with that more, and because I'm doing a custom Stryker, I'm thinking maybe I can incorporate the two. Maybe that would be a fun project too, is to combine two major kits like this and see what you can get. So pretty cool anyway. So if you like it, leave a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.